Hi everyone, welcome to our channel, Rebecca, Stu The Crew. I'm Rebecca, and today we have some Dollar Tree Christmas DIY ideas for you guys. So let's go over our supplies for DIY number 1. Today we're going to use 3 of these wooden blocks and some sticker letters from the Dollar Tree. You can use the poster stickers, and we'll need some paint. We're also going to use some dotting tools and some scissors. We'll need some ribbon and some paintbrushes. Also, we'll use some hot glue and some embellishments. So let's get crafty. Today we're going to take these little blocks here and we're going to make a double-sided DIY craft project. So the first side we're going to paint white, and then once that is dry we're going to flip them 180 degrees and paint the opposite side white also. So this will be our underlayment color, and we'll have a color on top of this, which you'll understand here in just a few seconds. Now, you can choose to leave it just the natural wood and just do one solid color paint if you like. It's really up to you. I wanted it to kind of pop and stand out a little bit more, which is why I chose to use the white paint. And you can use any color here. You can use like blue and silver. You can use the white and red and green. Really any color that would match your decor would work here. So now I had these stickers left over from a happy birthday style banner from Dollar Tree. Came with all these sheets of stickers. So I kept them because I didn't know when I'd be able to use them again. And luckily I had them on hand so I could use them for this craft project. So I'm going to spell out the word joy because I only had 3 blocks at home that I could craft with, and that's why we're going to spell out the word joy, because I didn't have any more blocks to make a bigger word. So you really want to make sure those edges are pushed down. And then for the opposite side, I wanted to make a different picture, so I'm taking some Dollar Tree vinyl, and this is just going to be pretty much like the sticker that's on the front. We'll remove this when the whole project's done, but we're just going to cut out a very simple Christmas tree and then lay it down over top of all 3 blocks. And once we get it in place, then take a razor blade and just trim between the blocks so that you have one portion of the sticker on each portion of the block where it belongs. And if the edges don't want to stick down too well, what you can do is take like a heating tool or a hair dryer and heat up that vinyl, and that's going to help those edges stick down really well, and then you won't worry about any paint getting underneath of it. And this is the removable vinyl from Dollar Tree. You can draw out this tree on the vinyl and cut it out with scissors or a razor blade. You don't need a cutting machine to use the vinyl. So once all the paint's dry and we've got those stickers on, we're going to go over all of the block the whole way around with this green paint. Again, use whatever color works for you and your color scheme and your Christmas decor. So you can choose to do 1 or 2 coats of paint. Depends on how thick the paint is and what you think. I ended up doing 2 coats for mine just because it was pretty see-through. Once all the paint's dry, go ahead and take like a weeding tool or one of those little dotting tools from the Dollar Tree and help lift the sticker off the edge, and then just peel the rest of it up. And you should get these really nice crisp lines where your vinyl and your stickers were at, especially if you use something to heat it up a little bit to help those edges stick down and get that glue to stick to the wood. And as you can see, that white paint underneath is really helping our design to pop up off that background, which is what we were going for. So we've got our Christmas tree on this side, and I'm actually having a little bit of trouble getting some of the vinyl off. It wants to rip, but it will come up. Just be patient with it. You don't want to gouge too hard with that tool because you don't want to scratch the paint and have to go back over it with a paintbrush and touch up those little pieces there. And I did do a couple little round circles to look like snowflakes. I almost wish I would have just left this part off because I ended up going in later with the dotting tool and adding some snowflakes all the way down of different sizes, all the way down the block. So I really didn't need to do this part. I could have just painted them on after the fact because I was going to go in and add the dots anyways, but I really wasn't thinking of it at the time. I really wasn't sure how many of the dots I was going to add once it was done. I don't really completely plan out all my projects before I start them. I just kind of grab some craft projects and figure out what I can make with them and start recording. So that's my creative process, you guys. It's real in-depth, as you can see. So what we're going to do now is just remove the stickers from the other side. We use the letter J, O, and Y, and see the stickers are really stuck down there good, but we've got that really nice crisp line all the way around the edge. And I'm glad I did end up using 2 coats of paint. It just looked a little bit streaky with just 1 coat of paint. The second coat really made it look a lot nicer. So once your paint is dry, just kind of look at it and see what you think. Are you going to need a second coat or not? And sometimes you can tell before it's dry if you're going to need a second coat. Okay, so our blocks are completely dry. So now we can start to put them together. So I want them to look like a stack of presents. I've seen things like this at Walmart, Hobby Lobby, and I figured I might as well make my own. It's a little bit cheaper. And we're just going to use some hot glue to attach these blocks. And of course, I don't want them to be completely stacked straight up and down, so they're a little bit offset. And the blocks are pretty much hollow. They're really light, so you don't need a lot of glue. And I think the hot glue works fine. I don't think you need any like wood glue or anything like that to hold it together. So here's the back and then the front with the word joy. And now we'll decorate the sides and the front with some different colors. So I'm going to go in with that dotting tool and some white chalk paint and add some little dots to the gift packages. I start out pretty much making like a 5-sided dice with 2 dots in, or 1 dot in each corner and then 1 dot in the middle. And then I fill in some white dots around, just kind of filling in the spaces. And then I add some small red dots as well to get a little bit of contrast here, and use the 3 different colors. I just think it looks prettier, and it's going to kind of all come together when I add the bow, which is almost the same color as that red paint, and it will help kind of tie it all together. Now, as you're adding the dots, sometimes it's easy to start adding too many dots. So I recommend, like, after you add, a couple, maybe take a step back and look at it and see where you have some spots to add more dots, and where maybe you're a little too heavy with the dotting, so you'll know where to not add anymore, and just help you to space them out a little bit. Sometimes just stepping back for a minute and looking at it will help you see those open spaces or where it's too crowded at, and help you space them out. So we do all 4 sides and the top of the gift, and then we'll let that dry. And then for the back here where I did the Christmas tree, I just did mainly white dots of different sizes. I wanted those to look like snowflakes. And like I said, I kind of wish I would have just left those stickers off at the top when I did the larger snowflakes. I could have just painted them on with the dotting tool. So it's really up to you how you want to do yours. And of course you can do any word, any picture on the back. It's really up to you. There's lots of different options. You could do a snowman on the back. That'd be really cute. A reindeer. There's lots of different options. So now we'll add some red paint and some larger dots to make them look like Christmas bulbs, and decorate some smaller red dots on the tree to look like lights, and add a highlight to the Christmas bulbs. Once all of that is dry, you're going to take your ribbon and measure all the way around your little blocks here. And of course you want to leave a little bit of excess because you want room to be able to tie it. So you need some excess ribbon. Now we'll add some hot glue to the bottom, and then find the center of our ribbon and add that to the block on the bottom first. And then pull the ribbon up the sides and then tie it on top. You really don't need any more glue to hold this on. Just the glue at the bottom is enough, especially if you tie it tight enough at the top. Then you really don't need any extra glue. We'll add a little bit more glue here in a second, and you can add more glue if you like. It's just really up to you. So I took another piece of ribbon and I slid it underneath of the top and tied another knot. So I had 4 tails at the top, cut a little notch in the ribbon, and then I made a very simple, basic, like bow, just one you would almost do to like tie your shoes. I just made a very, very simple bow, and then I will glue that to the center. And you can cut little notches in the ends of any of the tails on your bow also. The ribbon was kind of slippery with it being that silky material, so I had to hold it in place a little bit while the glue set up just a tiny bit. That way I could make sure that the bow stayed where it needed to be. And now you can add some embellishments here or just leave it as is. I chose to go in with this really cute snowflakes that was part of like the miniature Christmas tree garland that they had out last year. So I haven't seen this yet this year, but they usually do carry some garland for the miniature Christmas trees that they carry. So last year they had out the gold and silver snowflake garland, and I picked up one strand of each, and I've been using it since last year. I've cut off several pieces and use it in different craft projects. I just cut a snowflake off and glue that to the top, and I did one on each side, so no matter what side you were on the blocks, you'd be able to see one of those gold snowflakes, so the tree side and the joy side. Now our supplies for our second DIY today, we're going to be using one of these wood blocks from Dollar Tree. It already comes this color. One of the wood ornaments comes in a 3-pack, and some of this mesh ribbon. This greenery that comes in a pack of 4, and some jingle bells. We'll also use a paintbrush, some scissors, and these small berries. They come with snow or without. And let's get crafty. So now for this one, this is so easy, you guys. First, I traced it out on some parchment paper, the block, and kind of drew out what I was going to do to plan it. Then I mixed together 2 colors of red paint to get the color that I wanted. And we're going to take that wood slice ornament, and we're just going to paint the whole thing red. And I leave a little bit of a border around the outside because I still wanted to see that wood grain. And I eventually do fill in that hole where the ornament tie is supposed to go. So I just kind of figure out my spacing where it's going to go on this wood block. Like I said, it comes just like this. I'm going to leave it as is. I like the color. I think it's perfect for my reindeer. And using a pencil, I'm just going to draw a line where the mouth would be, the eyes, and the eyebrows. Once I have that penciled in, I remove the nose and then just go over with a small detail brush and some black chalk paint. And I'm just going to fill in the ovals for the eyes. I really recommend drawing these in first. That way you can make sure the sizing's right, that they're even, one's not higher than the other, and that will really help you get a nice even eye and eyebrow on your little reindeer here. So we'll paint the line for the mouth and our eyebrows, of course. And then we'll take some watered down light pink paint, and we're going to make these big rosy cheeks. So I want them pretty big because I know when I put my nose back on the reindeer, I want those rosy cheeks to be under the nose. And I did not draw where the cheeks would be. I just kind of freehand this. But with the eyes and the mouth, it really helped me figure out the placement where I could just kind of eyeball it. Then add some hot glue to your nose and go ahead and attach that to your sign. And add some little white dots for the whites of the eyes, and you'll add some highlight to the nose as well. Now that little hole for the nose at the end of the project, you'll see I kind of cover it up. What I do is I take a tiny little bit of hot glue and push it down into the hole, and I just kind of rub my finger over top of it to flatten it out, and then I put some red paint over it to hide it. So now we'll take that mesh ribbon, we're going to cut 3 pieces, and then we're just going to make 3 loops. And then once we have the 3 loops, we just scrunch them together in the center and make a bow. Then take a piece of twine or another piece of ribbon and tie off your bow. And then you can cut off that excess twine, or you can add the bells like I'm going to do. I ended up using a smaller piece of twine just because this ribbon doesn't fray as much as the twine does, and it was easier to get through the top of the bell. So I'm going to string 2 bells on. And then we'll just tie that around the center of our bow. I chose this light tan color ribbon because I kind of thought it looked like a little tuft of hair on top of his head. So we'll just add some hot glue. And these wood palettes here, they come in a couple different colors. So you can use a different color if you like. So once the bow is on, we're going to cut a little bit of the stem off of these greenery pieces. Like I said, they come in a 4-pack, and they have some gold or silver glitter on them. And you're just going to glue these in place on top of the head and push it right through that ribbon. The ribbon actually helps hold it in place while it dries, and kind of at an angle so it looks like an antler. Then those berries, we're going to use the wire and stick it through the bow. And once we have them in place, then I just go in and add a small dot of hot glue underneath of each berry, and that will help hold it in place. And I tuck the wire down under the bow and kind of bend it under. Then I had a few little blank spots, and I had these leftover mini pine cones from last year, so I add a few to the top. And here's the top of our reindeer, his eyes, his nose, and his rosy cheeks. in the whole thing. Look how cute he is. It was so simple, you guys. Anyone can do that DIY. Now for DIY number 3, we'll need some ribbon, some glue, scissors, berry garland. We'll also need a little wood palette sign, some pumpkins, and then we'll use the scarecrow hats, a marker, and the Scrabble letters. I'm also going to use some sequins, a little bit of greenery, and some chalk paint in black, white, and brown, and we'll need some paint brushes. So let's get crafty, making our last project here. So these pumpkins, we're going to pull the sticks out of, and we're going to hold on to them because we're going to need them. That's why I bought the ones with the sticks in them. We're going to actually add those to our project. So what we're going to do, we have 2 different size pumpkins here. We're going to do the 2 large, glue those together, and a smaller one on top. That'll be the head. These are going to be snowmen. I really like the coloring of these and how they kind of have like an aged outdoorsy look with those little black dots. It almost looks like they've been sitting at the side of the road and the cars have been going by and splashing them with the muddy water as the snow melts. So I just kind of really like the way it looks. So I do 2 the same. The third one I do 3 small pumpkins, and the last one I do 2 small pumpkins. So they're all different sizes. And now we'll take those scarecrow hats and we're going to go over them with the black chalk paint and a paintbrush. Now, I recommend chalk paint just it's a little bit thicker and it helps to hide the foam that's underneath of the burlap that the hat's made out of. And you can see those little patches on the hat. They're glued down pretty good, and I just left them. I painted right over top of them. I felt like it kind of helped add to the age of it. This made the hats look a little bit more beat up, a little bit older, which is the look I was going for. And then you definitely want to paint the bottom of the hat as well, because we're going to be able to see the bottom brim of the hat once it's glued onto the snowman. So I did all 4 hats and let them dry. Once they're dry, we're going to take some ribbon. I have this gingham ribbon, and we're going to cut 4 pieces. We've measured the first one, and we'll use that as our guide to cut the last 3. And we want it a little bit longer so that when we glue this to the hat, we can overlap just a little bit. So we'll add a little dot of hot glue and we'll start gluing the ribbon on. Now the important part is you really don't need to add a string of glue all the way around this hat. You can just work adding a couple little dots of glue as you work your way around the hat. As you can see, I just pull the ribbon back. I add a little tiny line of glue, and then I use that stick that I pulled out of the pumpkin to help smooth out the ribbon. And once I get it all the way around, I just overlap that ribbon onto the ribbon that I started with. I don't bother trying to cut off the excess. And now those mini snowflakes that I had in the jar, those are to fill in like an ornament. They come in a bag. Dollar Tree sells it each year. So I'm going to add a few of those to the hat and to the scarves that we're going to make here in just a minute. But I add some greenery to the hat just to make it look like a holly and a sequence. And those are also, the sequins are from like those vase fillers that you can buy in the baggies. I had a bunch left over from last year. They do have them out this year, but I have just been using what's on hand already at the house. So now for the scarf, now that the hats are done, we're just going to take a long piece of ribbon and fold it in half, make a loop, and then tuck those ends in through that loop, and then pull it tight, and then go ahead and glue the end pieces to your scarf down in place, and that will hold your scarf where you want it to be. And then decorate your scarf a little bit. So I have these small red jingle bells from Dollar Tree, or you can use the sequins or the little snowflakes. It's really up to you, or just leave it as is. Now those sticks that I pulled out of the pumpkins, we're going to cut those down smaller. The first one, I actually took 2 pieces and made it more look like a branch, where you have the 2 pieces of the branch there. I just glued them together and painted them brown with the antiquing wax. For the rest of the pumpkins, I just used the straight 1 stick, and I just cut them down smaller and put them in at an angle, which you'll see here in just a minute. So I just add a little dot of hot glue when I poke a hole in the side of the pumpkin to make it easier to get the stick to go into the pumpkin. That's why I use that little tool there. It helps slide it in a little bit easier without breaking it. And I want these in pretty far. I don't want someone to walk by and bump it and have the arm fall out. And that's also why I add a little bit of glue when I put the arms in. So there's our first pumpkin with the arms and the scarf. We do all 4. And now we're going to work on the nose. So this berry garland from Dollar Tree is perfect. We have the orange color and it looks kind of like the shape of a carrot. So it works out really well. So what we're going to do is use that little dotting tool again, poke a hole right where the nose would be, just to open it up a little bit, make it easier to attach it. Add a very small dot of hot glue, just a tiny little bit, and then take that berry and put it into the pumpkin with the pointy side sticking out, so it looks more like how you would add a carrot to a pumpkin. Or I'm sorry, a snowman. I'm getting them confused. So here's what it looks like from the front and the side. And then we'll do the same for all the pumpkins here. We're going to add the berry for the nose and turn these pumpkins into snowmen. Little tiny dot of hot glue, just enough to help hold that berry and kind of have it inset into the head just a little bit. And there is our little carrot nose. We've got all the noses, all the arms, and all the scarves done. Now take your Sharpie marker and add some kohl buttons. And then we'll do some eyes. You could also use a paint marker if you like. And then for the mouth, we're going to do 6 dots. So you want to do the 3rd one right in the middle underneath of the nose. And then do 2 dots on each side of that to help space them out. So you'll do 6 total. And then add some hot glue to the hat and put that right on your snowman. And now these little pumpkins are snowmen. So we're going to do that for all 4. And then for the base here, it's a little too plain for me and I wanted to age it a little bit more than what it looked like. So I took some white chalk paint first and add some really thin layer of that chalk paint. And then I take some antiquing wax and a wet wipe and I just rub in that antiquing wax over that white paint to help give it kind of the same color as the pumpkin, a little bit of an aged, dirty look to it. And then let that dry. Then again, I took these little snowflakes and I add those to the hats. I add them to the scarf. Some of them I added it to the little stick arm so it looks like they caught a snowflake. And then I position all of the snowmen where I want them to be on the base before I glue them down. I wanted to make sure they fit really well. None of them were squeezed together. Just kind of get the placement of where I want them. I kind of offset them and did like a zigzag pattern. And then I glue them down. So it's really best to always kind of position your craft where you want it or where you think you want it. Step back and look at it before you make that final decision to glue it down. It's so much easier to move it around before you've glued it down than trying to deconstruct the whole thing and move it around. So that's the same thing we're going to do with the lettering here. I kind of figure out how I want them to sit. And once I figure that out, then I'll go back in and glue them down. And these Scrabble letters come in the black and white, or you can get the tan letters. Now for the black and white, they come in the same bag. I was really happy that the word snow was all on the white tiles. It really worked out for this craft. So again, you just want a little dot of hot glue. You don't want too much because you don't want to be able to see it pop out from underneath of the tile. And that's the last step of this craft here. If you want, you can add a little bit more embellishment. I did end up going back in and adding a few more snowflakes to the tile, just so that I could tie them in a little bit better to the snowman in the background. If you add too much hot glue, they're really thin and it will melt the snowflakes. You don't want to add too much. Just add a little tiny dot, maybe even add a little dot to the tile. Wait for it to dry just a little bit or cool down for a second and then add the snowflake. And that way you don't have to worry about it melting. There's also blue snowflakes in this set. So if you want, you can use the blue. They might stand out a little bit more and match your little snowman. Especially if you use like a blue ribbon for the scarf, then the blue snowflakes would look really cute on the Scrabble tiles. It's really up to you. These are just suggestions. I just kind of try to put the idea out there and then hope that you guys will make your own. And that's our little snowman design. So we've got our 4 snowmen, And then we've got our reindeer and our block of presents. So we've got the Christmas tree side, and then the other side says joy. And that's our 3 crafts today. I hope you guys like them. I really enjoyed making them for you. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys could subscribe, like, and share, especially share, that would really mean a lot to me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. I hope you have a lovely day.